Here we have the results for E. coli, and I'm not sure what you all chose to use for each of your disinfectants or antiseptics, but you can see here on the plate that we definitely have some zones of inhibition around each one of our discs. So you can see the growth in the background, and what we're going to do is measure the zones around each one of these discs for all 12 of your disinfectants, and this is what you'll record on your data sheet. And then there's a column that says SIR, and that stands for susceptible, intermediate, and resistant. Okay, we're going to look at the distances or the widths of our zones of inhibition and determine if something is susceptible, resistant, or intermediate to that. So what I'm going to do is use a metric ruler here, and we're going to measure in millimeters. So I'll be on the centimeter side, and each one of those little lines there would be a millimeter, and I'm going to measure from one side of the zone to the other. So if I look at this one, I can see, measuring from one side of the zone to the other, that I have a zone of 12 millimeters. Okay, so for number one, it's 12 millimeters. And I'm just going to go through here measuring each zone and stating the measurement for that. So for number two, looks like I'm going to go here is my closest one, and that looks like I've got a zone of 13 centimeters. So for number two, 13 centimeters. Now on number three, you'll notice that I have a huge zone here, but then I have a colony kind of growing right up in here. So this would be an area where I have some susceptibility, but I have a little bit of resistance going on with these colonies right here. So what I'm going to do is kind of, since I don't have any on this other side over here, I'm going to measure to the middle, and then I'm going to double that. So if I measure to the middle, that looks like about 14 centimeters, so I'll double that and say 28 centimeters with resistant colonies is how I'll code that. Then I'll look at number four, and again, I don't have anything on this side, so I'll go to the middle and double, and that looks like about 22 centimeters. So now I'll go to number five. Number five looks like 21 centimeters. Now if I look at number six, I have a zone of 0 millimeters. The E. coli is growing all the way up to the disc there. So that would be 0 centimeters. 7, I've got a pretty large one here. 7 is going to be about 30 millimeters. And then if I look really closely, I don't really see any type of zone around number 8 as well. So number 8 will be 0 millimeters. Now if I look here, I don't see, well, I do have a zone on 10. So 9 is going to be 0 millimeters. 10, I have a tiny little zone. That's going to be about 9 millimeters. And then 11 and 12 will both be 0 millimeters. So definitely if it's 0 millimeters, it's going to be resistant to that, okay? Typically what we say in terms of resistance or susceptibility, or intermediate or susceptibility, is anything really over 20 would be considered susceptible. Anything under 20 would be considered intermediate, and then of course 0 resistant.